Hi everyone, it's your old friend Dr. Andrew Michaels talking directly to you. Now today we want to work on something very important. Yes. We want to talk about loyalty. Loyalty is a very important thing in life. You can never be too loyal. You really can't. Whenever you decide to be loyal to something or someone, loyalty is something you have to prove. And when you prove your loyalty to this object, whether it's a person or a thing, it tends to beg for more validation. You'd think you could just show loyalty to anyone, flag, country, anything. But in reality, let me get you a little closer. You have to keep showing it. Because if you don't, why then you're not loyal at all. It's a funny thing, isn't it? Doesn't make any sense. You show your loyalty, yet what that proves is you're disloyal. That's my argument. And in this video series, I'm going to try to prove that point. Now, I value your opinion and I value your comments. So make sure you put down below what you think. Am I right or am I, you're off on this one, Dr. Andrews Michaels. So anyway, we're going to have tons of triggers. We're going to have lots of fun today. And we're going to talk a little bit about loyalty, machismo, and the lack of these things. So here's the point. I'll use a story to kind of tell my side of the argument. And then we'll discuss whether or not my argument is valid or false. And it's all off the top of my head. The other day I noticed something. It pays to pay attention. When you're in a position like mine, you have to keep your feelers out there. You have to spread a web, as they would say, and you wait for little tiny bugs to fly into your web from different directions. Okay? So these bugs, they fly in from every little direction. They get tangled in the web, and that web sends a signal back to the spider in the middle. And the spider starts to get an idea of what's going on by all these little triggers. We all know about triggers in ASMR videos. Triggers can be auditory, right? Some of them can be visual. Some people like visual triggers. Some people like auditory. There's nothing wrong with that. And some people like a combination of the two. And loyalty can be like that. My feelers were going off. My triggers, as you would say. And I started to hear a rumble in the force. An old name was rearing its head from the abyss. A monster, most servile and simple, a petty little thing, probably not even worth worrying about, was raising its head from the swampy, nasty nether regions of the abyss. And I became aware not through my own machinations, through the machinations of someone unaware. It's always important to keep people unaware of your true objectives when you're in the spy business. Because then nobody really knows what the end game is. This is very important. This is a very important lesson. So if you're not understanding that, the idea is the good guys never show their hands. You have your cards in your hands. You never show your hands. But if you're a bad guy, a villain, villains tend to show their hands, don't they? Right? There you go. Got it? Villains show you their plans. They capture you, they tie you up, they restrain you, they defeat you, and then they show you their plan. They go, and they show you their ultimate goals, their plan. They reveal their plot. And this is the part of the story where the hero has to recognize he's the hero first, because he's not revealing his goals and plans. He's just watching and observing what the villain says. Well, now that he knows he's the hero of the story, he has to jump up, get free of his bonds, and stop the villain. Right? Come on. Case in point, Sherlock Holmes. How does Sherlock Holmes know he's the hero? And how does Moriarty know he's the villain? I don't know if anybody's ever asked this question before. I hope I'm not the first. It's very embarrassing if I am. It goes back to the argument of Batman and the Joker. Batman came first. Through his actions, he created the Joker. The Joker could say, you created me. I am the pure form of what you represent. The anarchy of lawlessness and vigilantism in society. And Batman could say, no, I stand for something bigger than that. You're actually the villain. The Joker, from a certain point of view, could be the hero. Because Batman is the one who reveals his plans to Joker. Joker always keeps his plans hidden. His idea of bringing down society to show society that it's just as much on edge as he is speaks volumes about our modern society. Is Batman the hero? Or is he actually the villain trying to stop our hero, the Joker, from bringing down society, causing its collapse, and showing its true face? That the anarchist lone wolf mentality is our truer destiny. Eventually, some great thinker, some wise old sage of the ages always brings down the government or the system before it, doesn't it? So, in some points of view, the Joker is the enemy. But in other points of view, he's the villain, or he's the hero. I tend to think the Joker's a villain. And I'll tell you why. His intent is to kill, to destroy, to dismember, to shake apart the foundations of the society that he deems unfit. This makes him a villain. Moriarty is the villain because he exposes his plans, his nefarious plots, when he thinks Holmes is helpless. The end game for Moriarty is to cause chaos, to kill, to destroy, to segment society, to profit from it. This makes Moriarty a villain in my mind. This makes the Joker a villain in my mind. Now, your friend Dr. Andrew Michaels, is he a villain or is he a hero? Well, of course I'm going to tell you I'm a hero. But from a certain point of view, I am most certainly the villain. Back to that soon. Do I want to destroy society? No. I want to make society safer. I want to make it more comfortable. And I want everybody to be equal in it. Well, these are lofty utopian ideas. Are they achievable? I don't know. But I do know that through my own machinations, my own plots, my own devious schemes, I think I can make society better. But I may destroy a few people in the meantime. Well, if I've destroyed people, if I've segmented society, if I've caused division, well, doesn't that sound like a villain to you? Well, getting people to wake up to their loyalties and getting them to see what's really going on, that's something heroic. It takes guts to stand up and expose things, to show things for what they really are. Now, I know everybody thinks there's hidden agendas and hidden meanings to my videos. This is very new. This is a very new video and a very new thought. So don't get hung up on old ideas here. You may or may not have any concept of whom or who or what I'm speaking of. Maybe I'm just talking because I need to make a very interesting ASMR video for all of you to watch and relax to. But maybe I'm exposing or showing my hands. Why, that makes me the most villainous of people from a certain point of view. A long time ago, very long time ago, I was trying to explain a movie called Star Wars. Actually, the whole trilogy. And this was before any of the other chapters were released. I explained that from a certain point of view, my point of view, in fact, that Obi-Wan and Yoda were actually villains. They were actually evil. They thought Anakin Skywalker was the chosen one. And they trained him even though they knew that was wrong. And they allowed him, through their own short-sightedness, to eventually become Darth Vader, fall in hand with darkness. But there was a reason for it. They couldn't defeat the Emperor. Only Darth Vader could get close enough and strong enough in the Force, because he was the chosen one, to kill the Emperor. So from a certain point of view, they had to sacrifice Anakin Skywalker's life and his family to destroy the Emperor. I told this to a very long time, very loyal, very devout fan of Star Wars. And they were extremely embittered and angry with me that I was wrong. Obi-Wan and Darth Vader were diametrically opposed. Darth Vader was a villain. Obi-Wan was a hero. Now, this is after the first three movies. We all know how they ended. Darth Vader became a hero at the end. I pointed that out, that the predictions were correct. That he was the chosen one, and he did free the galaxy through the Force, and he did stop the Emperor, the darkness, the Sith Lords. Well, that aside, my friend said, but that doesn't make Obi-Wan and Yoda evil. And I said, well, yes, it does, because they knew. They knew what they were putting him through. They knew what was going to happen next. Anakin didn't. He wasn't given a choice. He was sacrificed on the altar, and his Father knew. Fathers. Obi-Wan, Yoda. But he was unaware that he was the sacrificial lamb. And they didn't pull back their knives at the altar as Abraham did with his son Isaac. They plunged their knives deeply into Anakin Skywalker and helped him become Darth Vader. From a certain point of view, they were very evil. They even say that in the movie. Anakin Skywalker's ghost sits down on a log with Luke and says, well, from a certain point of view, what we did wasn't bad. They knew what they were doing. But it had to be done. Some things have to be done whether you want to do them or not. And that's a very ugly thing. It's very, very pompous for one human being to decide the fate of another. It really is. But it happens all the time. In our governments, it happens all the time in our schools. Why, if I punish this one child who is a little too aggressive about studies and is a pain in the ass, I can teach the other 31 students in the class today. So these things do happen. They happen on a daily basis, and any human being who says they don't happen is lying to themselves. Okay? You're lying to yourself. You're at work, and you know if you let the hazing go on, you're going to ruin that person's career. That they're not going to move up in the company, but you do nothing because you need to go to lunch. Or you need to get a taxi ride after work so you can go see a movie with your spouse. You know these things happen every day. We're not naive, and we're not stupid, and we're not pathetic babies. Human beings know exactly what they do on a daily basis to ruin other people's lives. Okay? Oops. Hope that didn't sound too loud. So, my argument is that I'm correct in that statement. We're all aware of great evil being done in the world, yet we stand by and do nothing. We may even be co-contributors to this great evil or active participants, but we let it happen anyway. Now, this is a very strong argument, and it goes back to loyalty. How? People who are your friends are loyal to you because they believe you wouldn't turn on them. They believe that the kindness in your heart will never leave. Little do they know, a little tiny push or shove in the right direction, and we all will sell each other down the road. Case in point, we see it in politics all the time right now. It is so easy to sell out another human being to benefit yourself or your cause. The United States, 300 million people, all with individual causes. Freedom's great, isn't it? And we've all convinced ourselves that a cause that is worthy is worth fighting for. It's worth being loyal to. But in the end, what are we being loyal to? An idea. Well, they say ideas are priceless. They say ideals are not able to be destroyed. They say that's what separates us from so many other places in the world. I don't know. Don't you think people in Italy, Greece, Turkey, Palestine, India, don't you think they have ideas? Don't you think they have dreams, hopes, desires? They dream of better days for their children and their grandchildren? I don't think freedom, ideals, causes are necessarily an American institution. They're a human institution, but not just American. I don't know. So we're loyal to something. Okay, I'm loyal to a friend. I'm loyal to someone because I know them. I've met them. We spent time together. Our families spent time together. I got to know the person. I'm pretty sure that person's very flawed. That he has lots of kinks in his armor. But I'm loyal. I've always been loyal to a fault with people. Loyal when the loyalty isn't even there for me. Just something in my mind. I think that person's loyal to me. But in the end, it's very one-sided. But in this case, I think this person is a pretty loyal friend. And I do worry about him. And I do watch for him. Keep an eye on him. However you'd like to say it. I like to be aware of his issues and problems. Pay attention to what he's doing. Making sure he's okay. His health concerns me. I guess that's important. And I got a message. I got a message to somebody he thought was his friend, who turned out to be very disloyal, was up to some shenanigans again. Shenanigans. I love that word. So broad a term when you think about it. What is a shenanigan? Oh, if you only knew. If you only knew. What a shenanigan means to me. I'll try to articulate it. A shenanigan is when somebody wants to pull the wool over your eyes. They want to fool you. They think they're funny. They think their little plan is going unseen. They think they're funny. They really think they're funny. In fact, they think they're so funny they can get away with it. But they forgot something. In all their studying, in all their little planning, they forgot about you. You. They forgot what they did. And they forgot what they did to your friend. And that's where the crux of this loyalty and this whole issue comes together. They think you won't remember them. They think it won't be important to you. They think you won't risk any problems because they aren't worth it. Or it wouldn't be worth it for you to cause this thing. Because that person could raise what's called a ruckus. They could raise a ruckus and cause you problems. So they think you won't say anything because you don't want to have any problems. So they think it's a good time to start trouble. And nobody will say anything. Nobody will notice. Nobody will stop them because they aren't worth it. And really, they've outsmarted you because they think you won't do anything because, you're intimidated or scared or some other stupid human failing. Well, that's the problem. What they don't understand is you thought about this already. Now, this is where being a narcissistic megalomaniac arsehole, A-R-S-E, hole, arsehole, comes into play. You have thought about this. You did think the person was going to follow your lead. You did think the person was going to try to capitalize on some of your discoveries. And you were waiting for him to do it. You were sitting around checking once in a while, wondering when he was going to get brave enough to make a move. Oh, that's the good part. That's something I just can't quantify as a human being. I just can't put it in terms that anyone would understand. How could somebody sit and wait for a year or 2 or 3 and say, in the back of their mind, quietly, I wonder when that dumbass is going to do that. I wonder when he's going to try that. My God, the level of narcissism, it's almost to the level of omniscience. It's impossible to even comprehend somebody would even give a crap, let alone develop a plan to have it in place for when that day actually happens. That's ludicrous. That's something out of a spy novel, isn't it? But we do write spy novels here. After all, at the end of the day, Dr. Andrew Michaels is, to a degree, a world-class spy. It is his job to anticipate that which is not able to be anticipated or possible. It's frightening. It's actually frightening to me sometimes when I think about it. So we go back to loyalty. So why would I even develop a plan of action, a course of action, have something in place? Why would I even waste my time, efforts, and resources on something that could never happen, waiting for it to happen, and then when it does, spring my trap? Ooh. Loyalty. Loyalty is such a sad, sad, forgotten thing in this world. King David of Israel, the king of Israel, stood up on the roof of his palace. A flat roof, because it was in the Middle East. Not a peaked roof, it was a flat roof. It was a cool night, so he wanted to get some fresh air, and he wanted to commune with God and nature and see the stars, and he went up above his palace on the rooftop to breathe that fresh air, and often another house nearby stood a beautiful girl bathing herself in the moonlight. Her name was Bathsheba. He looked at her and she was so lovely. He couldn't take his eyes off of her. And the king of Israel, that God himself said was a man after his own heart. So David was like God. Looked across the rooftop at Bathsheba and desired her. Carnal desires. And the sad part of the story is, she was one of his warriors' wives. And this warrior was so loyal. He was so loyal that he slept on the doorstep of David's palace, waiting for his next order. David sent him on one death mission after another to have him killed in battle so he could steal his wife. Yet this man survived. Not only survived, he came back and loyally told David of his success. And David was completely stunned. This man loves me more than his own life, even more than his life of his family. Well, he has this wife Bathsheba that I desire, but he will give all that he has for me, for the glory of God, for the kingdom. David lost the lesson. He didn't understand loyalty. He really didn't. If you think about King David of Israel, he wasn't a very loyal guy. See, if I was David and I was playing songs to soothe Saul's heart, King Saul, and then Saul tried to kill me with a spear or something, you know, David kind of turned on Saul, and had him, like let him go to the wolves there. A loyal guy would have said, I'm sorry, Saul, let's hang in there. Well, let's work this out. But David wasn't that kind of guy. He didn't understand loyalty too much. He was loyal to God because he knew where his power came from and where his kingdom came from and his might came from. But he wasn't real loyal to like the people around him. He was kind of a shit. Saul's son loved him so much he laid out in the field with him and kissed him and stuff. That's a whole nother story, a whole nother video. So he was loyal to David. Saul's son was turning on King Saul. But David, no, not David. David was about David. He was loyal to David. David was a god over his own kingdom. He didn't have to answer to anybody else. So why would I be loyal to this person and choose this person? They're not even on YouTube. They're not even part of it anymore. But they were my friend. When I needed a friend, they were loyal to me. Loyal to the end. Still my friend to this day. I don't need to broadcast who he is or what he's about, because it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Loyalty is blind. I just am loyal. And when it comes down to it, I would do for him as if I was doing it for myself. And to be quite honest, the person I'm talking about, I've been waiting to make a stupid move. I've been waiting a long time. So even though I'm loyal to my good friend, for all his hardships, it's not very hard to do when you think about it. Now this all sounds evil. Going back to where I'm exposing my plan, does this make me a villain? Well, I don't think so. It's just a little tiny thing. Sometimes things are little, tiny thing that I'm doing. That little tiny thing is so easy to do. It's so easy to do a little tiny thing and forget you even did it. And you sit there and you tell yourself, well, that's just a little thing. It's just a little sin. It's not a big thing. Doesn't count, but they do. All sin is equal. So if you push a guy off a bridge into the lake and he drowns, or you kick a pebble at that same person and hurt their feelings, it's still a sin. It's still equal in the eyes of judgment. And I'm not one to judge, but I am one to understand the judgment. I am willing to understand that even this little thing that I do is a big thing. It's not a good thing. And that's where you have to say to yourself over and over again, well, it's because I'm loyal to my friend. It's okay to do this thing because I'm loyal to my friend. I'm justified because I'm doing it for him, not myself. And myself a little bit, but really I'm doing it for my friend. So that makes it okay. Does it? Well, that's up to you to decide. It is. It's not up to me. The reason it's not up to me is I've already made up my mind. You haven't. Well, maybe you have. It's been 35 minutes. Is it bad? If so, you say, yes, it's a bad thing. You should just leave things alone and let them take their course. But if you say, well, it sounds like it's justified, you're loyal and you're helping a friend, then it was okay to do it. One thing I'd like to point out is I'm not even going to waste my time telling my friend I did it. because they've known me long enough to know that after I do the things that I do, it doesn't really matter because I'm going to do it anyway. So you might as well just, like, not even get involved. It's just going to happen. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You should never get caught up in other people's petty differences. Just let things take their course. People, they love to draw lines in the sand and get everybody involved. But when it comes right down to it, who cares? Huh? Does it change the price of milk? No. Does it keep you from having a good time tonight? No. Then don't worry about it. What's the big deal? Right? It's just another sin on the pile. And even though the pile gets larger and larger, you decide how much you contribute to it. If it's too big for you to swallow that pill, then it's your right to stay away from it. Okay? Well, this was a good ramble, and it was a lot of fun. I sometimes don't know what kind of teaching method I want to take when I sit down. Sometimes we go off course and some really fun things happen. I don't know if this was one of those situations, but I do know, and this is the truth, sometimes I plan out my lesson plans way out in advance, make sure I'm articulating all my points, have my notes ready, and nobody really pays attention or gives me any feedback. Then there's other times I just sit down and ramble, blah, 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 and I get tons of feedback. Everybody's like, oh, wow, that was pretty good. So you never know how a classroom is going to react. But loyalty is a good thing. It can be a good thing. It's important in life to know who's loyal to who, or whom, or what, so that you know that it's a waste of time to bother somebody about something. If you know somebody's loyal to a fault with someone, then you have to realize it's a waste of your time to bring it up. Just move on. It's a dead subject. And sometimes that can be helpful because you can actually become friends with somebody even though you're, diametrically opposed to their viewpoints in life, because you've come to an understanding that it doesn't really matter. It has no bearing on your situation with that person. It might sound like a strange concept, but it's not that rare. Opposites in life attract. A lot of times, a husband and wife will marry and their families do not get along at all. Yet the couple is strong because of the opposites, because of the axis that the two families travel on. Keeps everything in balance somehow. It makes the union of the two opposing sides very strong. It's a funny thing to see and witness. We've all seen it. I don't want to bring up examples, but different kinds of marriages usually are good examples of that. And you see it in friends. One friend could be from one social situation, and his best friend is from the exact opposite social situation. And I don't want to, point fingers or anything in any specific examples, but this does happen in life. It just does. And there's no excuse for it. There's no reason or rhyme or anything to it. It just happens. Opposites do attract. Sometimes more than familiarities. Well, that's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed our little study in loyalty, villainy, and overt heroics. So how does Moriarty know he's a villain? And how does Sherlock Holmes know he's a hero? Well, they think they are. They believe they are. In the end, it's up to you to decide. It really is. I don't think there's any argument that Sherlock Holmes isn't a hero. I wouldn't even debate that. But I'm sure there were times when he was alone at night he wondered if he was. And that the methods he employed to reach his goals justified the results. It is something to think about. And it's that conscience that Sherlock Holmes exhibited in his darkest, saddest moments alone that I believe define him as a hero. Because at least he knew the ramifications of his actions, and it tormented him. He didn't take pleasure from it. Okay? My name is Dr. Andrew Michaels, and I am here to help you. Until we meet again, please have a most blessed day. All right? Bye-bye.